Good morning. Happy Saturday. Welcome on into Let's Bet It. Lauren Jabari here with Jared Smith. Jared, it's the weekend. How are we doing today?
It's going pretty well. Pretty hot here in the East Coast today, which means I'll likely just take a brisk walk and then be inside for most of the day. Definitely
Nice.
pool weather. You're on another jet, leaving on a jet plane. Where's the destination now
Leaving
this
on a
week?
jet plane. I am now in Denver, Colorado, visiting some of my friends from when I
Old
lived
school,
here for
old
3
stomping
years.
grounds.
Yes, my friend is sitting over there right now with her cat, and he is meowing
Aw,
like crazy. It's very
okay.
cute. He's having a morning this morning. So,
Love it.
yeah, bright and early here again, 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and ready to talk about some sports betting. We have a lot
Woo!
to get
Yes,
into
we do.
today. First of all, our Bettor Up segment, obviously talking about some baseball, trends around the league, Yerfy and Nerfy, our best bets for the day. Then we have some Major League Soccer. Why not on a Saturday? There's a whole slate of games today. So we have a little MLS going on. And then we'll touch on a little bit of football as well for some Football Saturday about who we think is going to be some of the most impactful transfers this offseason so far. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's bet it. Let's start it out with, is the trend your friend? And I know
Love
you
this
have one
game.
today. Do you want to
I do.
start this out, Jared, or should I get this thing going?
I think we can start. I'll start, and here's why. Because I'm not betting this, but if I were, you know me, I don't like to bet full game money lines.
Yeah.
But I came close today. I got to the edge, and I looked and I peered over the edge into the money line abyss that is this trend, but I didn't quite jump into the cavern. But maybe you'll
Okay.
be
On
interested
the
in,
edge of
and maybe
glory.
on the edge of glory. I think it might be, and maybe some of our audience might be interested because I know they like to bet full game money lines. We've gotten some feedback that we should talk more about those on the show. So here you go. The New York Metropolitans are
Okay.
20-1 after a loss this season. They lost last night, and last night was their first time that they have lost the game coming off of a loss, but it's a little bit of a asterisk because it was off the All-Star break where they had a 4-day break. So
Yeah.
they haven't lost back-to-back games consecutive days this year, and they also haven't lost
Wow.
back-to-back games as a favorite all season. They are favored tonight against the Padres. So I ask you, Miss Lauren Anjabara, is the trend your friend? Are we laying
Yeah,
it
it would be my
with the
friend. It
Mets?
would be my friend. 20-1. That's a pretty big sample size
Yeah,
too. So yes,
it
the
is.
trend would be my friend in this situation, especially because of the All-Star break.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah, I'm
I came
backing that
close.
with the Mets.
I came close to betting it, but I didn't get there. But I
Close but
certainly
no
recommend
cigar.
close, but no cigar. But if I were to bet a money line today, that's the one that I
Yes.
would bet.
Okay, cool. I like that. That's actually a really, really
Love it.
good one. I have a
I
few good
tried.
ones for
Thank
you
you.
too, or at least I think
Let's
that they're
go.
good ones. Orioles, on the run line. So they're 12-0 in their last 12 on the run line as home dogs. Yesterday they lost by 1. They covered the run line. How do we feel about the Orioles right now? 12-0 in their last 12 on the run line as
Have
home
to.
dogs.
I'll be honest. The Orioles run line in general is a ridiculous bet this season. I think they're up 19 units now because they were up 18 units. I did an article. By the way, that column dropped on Pickswise last
Yeah.
night. Regression. We talked a lot about regression yesterday. I wrote an entire column about it. The Orioles were mentioned because they were up 18 units on the run line in the first half, the most of any team. They're the most profitable team in baseball in the first half. So yeah, absolutely, this is a trend you have to consider. But then you have to worry about that regression situation with them. And are they going to be able to keep this up? Well, they lost the game last night, but covered the 1.5 on the run line because they lost 7-6.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a friend. I think
This is
I
your
would be
friend. We
more
got 2
willing to
friends so far today. We're going to have a whole group of us sitting at dinner at some
just a
point.
couple of
We got the
compadres.
Reds, Cardinals, Nerfy. Reds are 6-0 to the Nerfy in their last 6 at home.
It's kind of funny because I actually was looking at this Nerfy because it's plus money, and I always look at plus money Nerfies.
Yeah, always.
But I don't trust Steven Matz. He's only making, I think, his second start back from injury. I might be wrong on that. It might be his third. He's only made 9 starts all season. Very hard to trust Steven Matz. Mike Minor kind of been a gas can too. So No, this is a no for me. This is a unfriend the trend because I just don't trust the
Oh,
two
unfriend
starting
the
pitchers in
trend.
this game.
Yeah. Okay, how about this one? The Braves run line against the Angels. The Angels right now are 0-11, and their last 11 is run line dogs after following a loss.
Wow. The Angels have a problem this year. Like
I
they
mean,
have
yeah.
they have way too much talent to be this bad. I don't know what the problem is. And here's another interesting thing about today's game. And we're going to talk about the Yerfy Nerfy in this game in a little bit. But the reason
Mhm.
that I really am leaning not betting the Angels and friending this trend is because I don't think Ohtani will be in the lineup today because he pitched yesterday. Now, we don't know that
Yeah.
yet. The game's later tonight. We won't know what the lineup is until 4 o'clock Eastern. But if I had to guess, no Ohtani today. So that means the Angels line would probably move against them towards game time. So yeah, I would friend this trend. I would fade the Halos in this matchup.
We got another trend. I love it. Okay, so I'm
Yeah, why
two
not?
for three right now. My
Okay.
last one for you: Phillies versus Cubs over. The over is 9-1 in the last 10 meetings between these two.
Yeah, and the Cubs scored a boatload of runs yesterday.
15
The
runs yesterday.
Phillies had a play. So yesterday was a very volatile day in baseball. We had a game that was 28-5, and the Cubs, you said, scored 15 runs. We had a bunch of defensive errors and gaffes, and so after a 4-day break, that doesn't surprise me. But I don't know. It's tough to bet an over with Zach Wheeler on the mound, right? I would
Yeah.
say no to that one just because Wheeler, but the Cubs have been hot. So if anyone can, maybe put a few runs on the board on Wheeler, Stroman hasn't been that good, so he can be had. And Phillies,
Yeah.
after getting their asses handed to them yesterday, maybe they want to put a little number on Chicago. So, yeah, you know what? I'll friend this one because it'll be all against Stroman. The Phillies
Yes.
are going to knock around Stroman tonight, and that game's going to go over.
Okay, so between yours and my four, we got we got four friends out of the five.
And
That's pretty
four bets
good.
to make. Four bets to make for people out there if they're interested. We got four
Why not?
non-Yerfy. Actually, no, one of them was a Yerfy, so that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, speaking of Yerfies and Nerfies, let's get into that because yesterday the Nerfy no runs first inning went 9-5. They're having a kick-ass July at 54.4%. If you bet all Nerfies in July, you're up 14.91 units. You love to see it. I actually
Yeah.
have a Nerfy on my sheet today, but I'm saving it for my play of the day. But you have one Yerfy
Wow.
and one Nerfy going into tonight, so please enlighten me, share more.
Yeah, so actually I have three, but I'm also saving one for my pod. So we've got a double Nerfy pod going on a little bit later. Very exciting stuff. Stick around for that. All right, so you know me, I try to give you one a day. I couldn't narrow it down today. There were three of them that I really liked. And I
Okay.
said, screw it. It's Saturday. There's 16 games on the card today. There's a doubleheader in Cleveland and Chicago. So there's a lot of action going on today. So you know what? We're going to dip our toe in and get a little bit funky. We'll start with the Dodgers and the Giants Yerfy. So this is even odds over at MGM. Alex Wood, Julio Urias. Not a very sexy pitching matchup when you look at their Nerfy rates. Since 2019, 58-28, which is about a 68% Nerfy rate,
Crazy.
which is, yeah, anything below 70% is not great. Like the average is about 70% based on what I look at every day. So it's a below average Nerfy rate for these guys. Big sample size since 2019. And neither guy has good numbers against the opposing lineup. They faced them a bunch. Urias and Wood have been on the Giants and the Dodgers for multiple seasons. And of course, they're in the same division. So the Dodgers have scored a run in the first inning in 4 straight games. They now have the highest run scoring rate in baseball at 38%. They jumped in front of the Cubs yesterday. The Giants don't score much. They're at 23%. So I'm not really that excited about the Giants lineup.
Yeah.
But in the games between these two teams this year, they've played 7 games. The last 3 games have all been Yerfy after the first 4 were Nerfy. So there's this kind of dichotomy going on where it looks like the Yerfy is the hotter trend at the moment between these two teams. And at a coin flips odds with 2 average pitchers on the mound, I feel good about the Yerfy here, Dodgers, Giants. I'm going to go Nerfy in Atlanta tonight. Angels and Braves. We talked a little bit about this game a few moments ago. So
Yep.
Patrick Sandoval, Kyle Wright, these two guys have a very good combined Nerfy rate since 2019, 59 and 17. That's almost 79%.
That's amazing.
And Sandoval, how about this? 17 and 4 Nerfy rate for Sandoval on the road during that stretch over the last 3 seasons. And he has only 11 career plate appearances against the Braves lineup. So kind of a fresh look at this Braves lineup. Remember, this is an interleague game. These two teams don't face each other very much. Kyle Wright only has 14 plate appearances career against the current Angels lineup. And the Halos have been awful. Below average first inning run scoring rate this year at 22%, 5 straight without a run. The Braves are kind of average at home at 26.9%, 3 straight Nerfies. They've only scored twice in their last 9 games. And again, I like the price here. Even odds, coin flips bet that we get 6 outs in the Braves-Halos game. So those are the 2 that I'll give you now. Giants, Dodgers, Nerfy, Braves, Halos, Nerfy, both at a coin flips price, even odds.
I love it. I absolutely love it. How do we feel about a strikeout prop today for me?
Lay it on me, girl. Lay it on me.
Garrett Cole over 7.5 Ks and minus 118. So it's juiced. It's a little juiced, but not too juiced. So it's only 18 cents that I'm playing for it. I know, and I've bet worse. I've bet worse in my life. He needs 8 against the Orioles for this to hit. Last time I checked, that's how math works. If I'm betting over 7.5, he needs 8 strikeouts. The line's been on the move. Yesterday I looked and I was considering betting it. It was at plus 110. It's becoming a little bit more juiced, whatever.
Wow.
But I looked at the last time that they played. He punched out 11 Orioles in his last start against them. He played 8 innings in that game. I know he did allow 5 runs in that start, but you look at Baltimore's numbers this season, and honestly, they're averaging 8.84 strikeouts per game on the season. That's the 5th worst in Major League Baseball. So I'm continuing to back these aces. These high number strikeout props don't really scare me away at all. So I'm going over 7.5 in a really good matchup for them based on Baltimore's numbers and based on what he's been able to do all season, just how good he is. I mean, Garrett Cole's an absolute stud, and it's not too juicy for me. So I'm only laying 18 cents. Garrett Cole over 7.5 Ks minus 118. I know that we're bringing in Daniel in a second to talk a little Major League Soccer, but first, Jared, let's walk this way into your parlay. I don't know if I have the singing voice today, to be honest with you. So I'm just
you were on
saying.
A plane yesterday. You know what? Don't strain yourself. I know you've got an outdoor workout planned after this. Keep your energy, keep your rest.
Thank you.
It's hot there in Denver today. Yeah, it's hot there. It's hot everywhere. It's global warming. I won't get into that. But all right, so it's funny you mentioned Garrett Cole. I will start with Garrett Cole because you know me, I don't bet a lot of unders in walks props. In fact, I've only bet 4 of them all year. And full disclosure, I have lost all 4 unders that I have bet with walks props. But this one really stood out to me today. Garrett Cole under 1.5, laying 20 cents. So he owns this Orioles team. That's why I absolutely can get behind your strikeout prop. 5-2 with a 2.1 ERA and just 9 walks in 59 2/3 innings against the Orioles in his career. That is an average of 1.35 walks per 9. So if you just took that sample size and you go, all right, he pitches a full 9 innings today, he's still only walking 1.3 batters. So I feel good under 1.5. He's not going to go 9 innings today. At least I don't think he's going to. I would say 7 is probably a good spot for Garrett today. But he has not issued a walk in 15 innings against the Orioles this season. So I just find it hard to believe that this prop was at this price. Maybe it's a trap, maybe it's not. But to me, the number is wrong. It should probably be more like 50 or 60 cents under 1.5 here. And also, when you look at the Orioles lineup, 18 of the last 25 right-handed starters have stayed under against Baltimore. 16 of 25 if you just take the starts at Camden Yards. So even if you look at the overall picture, if you look at what's happened at Camden Yards this season, this Orioles team has not drawn a ton of walks. And I don't see a lot of regression for Cole in the second half. 2.38 walks per 9 this season, 2.32 in his prior 9. He's pretty much pitching right to where his career numbers have been. So there's Garrett Cole minus 120, under 1.5 walks. Now I've got some overs for you. Obviously, that's where we tend to breathe with these. Tristan McKenzie over 1.5 at the White Sox. This is a regression play. 38% hit rate in the first half of the season, but last year he was at 54%. Where's that gap coming from? 2.4 walks per nine this season. In his first 2 years,
Yeah.
3.9. That is 1.5 walks per nine less in his first 16 starts this season compared to the full sample size of his prior career. That is a massive difference, and I think we're going to see regression with McKenzie in the second half. Oh, by the way, this White Sox team is not a great walks team. That's the rub with this. They're actually the worst walks team in baseball. But for some reason, McKenzie doesn't mix well with this White Sox lineup in terms of walks. How about this? 12 walks and 75 career plate appearances against this White Sox lineup. He had 4 walks in a start against them earlier this year. So I told you that he's only gone over 6 times in 16 starts this year. Well, one of those 6 was against the White Sox. So we're going to take a chance. We'll go over 1.5 on McKenzie. Here's our juice play. Oh, by the way, McKenzie minus 115 odds at DraftKings. Brady Singer, I'm laying 70 cents for this one, over 1.5. He's facing the Rays today. Another regression candidate, though. 29% hit rate in the first half. He's only gone over in 4 of 14 starts. But last year, he went over 63% of the time, 17 out of 27. That's a huge gap. This year, he's only walking 2.2 batters per nine, 3.55 in his first 2 seasons. So a massive dip in the first half for Brady Singer. And what do we usually say about the sample size in baseball? It will catch up to you. So I think Singer's going to be a guy that's going to see a lot of overs with his walks props in the second half. And oh, by the way, the Rays have been trending in a really positive direction with their walks numbers. The 12th highest this season, but in the last 30 days, 5th highest. In the last 7 days, the 4th highest at over 11%. So the Rays are trending in a good direction, and I think we're going to see regression from Brady Singer. This parlay, nice even numbers here, plus 444. So have fun with that one.
Why not?
I'm going to do
Love
one more
it.
time.
Plus money.
McKenzie over 1.5, Singer over 1.5, Cole under 1 and a hook. Have fun. Good luck. Walk this way.
We're walking this way right into Major League Soccer. Let's bring in Daniel Robinson, co-host of Bet MLS with D-Row. And so we got a little Major League Soccer to talk about on this Saturday morning. D-Row, how are you? Happy Saturday.
I'm good. And I got to give Jared credit. I have never heard anyone as excited to talk about walks on a Saturday morning.
Yes.
That's just,
right?
I love it. Come
on.
It's my MO. D-Row. That's my MO, D-Row.
I love it.
We're walking this way right onto Major League Soccer.
Right onto the pitch.
Let's just start it out with some tips for maybe inexperienced Major League Soccer bettors, people who maybe are not watching as much of the MLS this season, and how do you kind of get into betting this sport in general?
Yeah, no, I mean, some people get excited for a NFL weekend with 15 games. Tonight there's 12 MLS games, and I couldn't be more excited. This is a big Saturday night for me. But a few tips. So the first one, you really don't want to bet. This is a good tip for any bettor, but you don't want to bet juice lines in MLS. You don't want to bet heavy on favorites, because this is not a MMA type sport where you like to parlay. Oh, there's 2 different teams at minus 175, minus 200. Like, one of them is going to get you beat on a 90th minute equalizer. It's just not going to happen. So you don't want to parlay favorites together. That is a big one. Like last weekend, there was 14 games, 7 on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. On Saturday, 6 home teams won. On Sunday, 2 home teams won. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to it. You got to pick your spots. There's a lot of different factors that come into play in MLS games, because you look at the Western Conference. Houston plays in the same conference as Vancouver. So the travel can be huge. You want to look for those spots, where there's a team maybe traveling across 2 time zones, 3 hours, of a flight. If they're getting in the night before, that can be a big deal. And you want to look at even 1 or 2 absences, a starting defender on a team. Maybe they got a red card last week and they're out this week. Those sorts of things can make big differences. And the nice thing about MLS, it flies under the radar a little bit. That means the books aren't quite as sharp on it. So you can find those spots where you can find some pretty good picks. The last thing I'll say is on this one is underdogs. So on Bet MLS, we have different kind of categories we pick every week, and we each try to pick an underdog that's plus 200 or more. And as we tally, which categories are we up the most units on each throughout the season, the underdogs is what we're way up on. You may see in any week 3 or 4 teams that are like plus 350, plus 400 on the 3-way money line. And you don't know which one is going to win, but you kind of just sprinkle on all of them. And one of them is going to win just about every time. So you come out ahead. So that's kind of my, I guess, bet MLS 101.
I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the because you're right. The MLS is not, in terms of the other leagues out there, English Premier League, Bundesliga, et cetera, it is not a very respected league compared to those other European powerhouses. So they don't get as much handle for sure. And if it doesn't get a lot of handle, then the sportsbooks aren't paying as much attention to it. They aren't allocating enough resources to keep those lines balanced and fair. So yeah, you can beat that market if you know your stuff. So let's get into some of the stuff. And you mentioned travel, and this game, even though you're on LAFC, it is a travel game for them, right? They are going to Kansas City. So talk to me about this match, because LAFC's actually had a pretty good stretch here. 4 wins in their last 5. Put up a good number against the Galaxy a couple weeks ago. So talk to me about this match, the Whitecaps, Sporting Kansas City and LAFC.
Yeah, this LAFC is the best team in MLS. They were the best team in MLS before they went out and signed Giorgio Chiellini, longtime Italian national team captain, center back. They go out and sign him. Oh, they just signed another guy named Gareth Bale, who's been at Real Madrid for the last 7 seasons, just won the Champions League, led Wales to the World Cup. We'll be seeing him in the World Cup here in a few months playing against the U.S. So they just went out and made those moves, even though they were already in first place in the league. They are a juggernaut right now. They've, like you said, they've won 4 out of their last 5. One of the things I like to do and that we do big on our show is, people may not think that soccer is as much of an analytics-based sport when you're capping it. But in reality, there are a lot more advanced metrics now than there ever used to be in soccer. And there's a metric called non-penalty expected goals, which basically taking penalty kicks out of it, it's expected goals. How many chances are you creating relative? One game, you may miss 3 great chances and you should have won, but you didn't. But over a season, you can look at those numbers and there are trends there. Well, LAFC is number 3 in expected goals created this year. Sporting Kansas City is last in MLS in expected non-penalty expected goals created. So there's a real mismatch here. I'll get into it a little more, but yeah, I love when you talk about plus 120. And by the way, shop around a little bit because these odds, as we said, the books aren't quite as sharp. They can change quite a bit from one book to another. I am seeing this down to plus 110 in some spots. I'm going to guarantee you by kickoff tonight, this is going to be a juice line for LAFC once the lineups come out. By the way, one other note on this game. Sporting Kansas City, we talked about those absences. Well, their starting defensive midfielder, Roger Espinoza, he got a red card last weekend. He's out this weekend. LAFC is not a team you want to play without your starting defensive midfielder. So at plus money, give me the best team in MLS, even when they're on the road.
I like that. Best team in the Western Conference against the worst team in the Western Conference. And you're getting it at plus money, baby. Why not? I look at both of these conferences. And they both have a clear top 2 teams that are battling it out for the top place in the standings right now. Do you think that is how it stays over the remainder of the season? Or which teams do you think get the number 1 seed and maybe the bye in the playoffs? Because I know that you're looking at the game tomorrow with Austin FC right now, who's now sitting second in the West, right behind LAFC.
Yeah, so you may not know this. LAFC part owned by Will Ferrell, Austin FC part owned by Matthew McConaughey. So we've got a nice little
battle of actors. I love it.
Yep, a nice little and Matthew McConaughey owning Austin FC. I mean, that's just you can't really get any more apropos than that. But yes, I don't see any more top LAFC. Yes, and their fans actually chant that. The ole, 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 ole. They chant all right instead of ole.
All right. I love it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes,
oh my God,
exactly.
it's
tremendous.
It's great. It's great. But yeah, I don't see LAFC giving up the number 1 spot. And in MLS, you get a bye for the number 1 team through the first round of the playoffs. So that's the one that matters. It's a little bit closer. And the thing that comes into it as well is that in MLS, the best players will leave to go to Europe. You're not going to see LeBron James leave the Lakers to go play in Europe or whatever during the middle of the season. Hey, maybe that might be a good thing. But in MLS, NYCFC, who's the number 2 seed right now, they won the MLS Cup last year. Their starting forward, who won the Golden Boot last year for most goals, this is his last game today before he's leaving to go play in Spain. So you're like, okay, that might hurt them. they're going to sign someone else, but are they going to integrate quick enough to keep up, good numbers in the standings? I don't know. The lock, though, would be LAFC. I really can't see them giving up that number one spot.
What do you feel about Austin FC, though? You looking at the game tomorrow, and you like a draw against the number 3 team in the East with the New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, so this is draw no bet. So basically how it works is if it's a push if it's a draw. So I'm going to be taking Austin here at home.
Okay.
This has moved a little bit since I sent this pick in yesterday. I'm seeing it at -130, -135 right now, which is a little bit trickier than it was yesterday at -110. But I mentioned Austin FC; they are second in the West. And when you talk about travel, so you've got the New York Red Bulls, and I know you guys said it was hot on the East Coast, but look, we're in Texas here. I'm in Dallas. New York has to travel all the way down to Austin to play tomorrow. I think it's like a 6:30 kickoff, a national TV game, so that the sun's still going to be pretty high in the sky out in Austin, and so this is going to be a tough game for them. Austin, they've only lost once in their last 10 games, and New York is a very good team. New York Red Bulls. They started out the season, they won their first 5 road games. I don't think that had ever happened before in MLS, but they've only won 1 road game since. And you look at this, and the draw no bet basically gives, when I look at that, and I'm getting really close to even money, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, this definitely could be a draw. New York Red Bulls are a good team. It is much more likely that Austin is going to win this game than that New York is going to go on the road in a hot environment. They lost last weekend to NYCFC. To go into Austin and beat them, a team that scored multiple goals in 4 out of their last 5 games. They've only lost 1 out of their last 5 games. I don't see it happening. You've got the push opportunity there. It's a pretty safe bet to take that draw no bet. If you don't, if that gets too juiced, maybe wait 10 or 15 minutes into the game and see, maybe you can get that at a little better line, closer to even money.
I love the idea of live betting it too. So live betting soccer, especially because usually the first 10 minutes, unless you're betting a live under, then you want to bet pregame. But if you're betting an over, usually the first 10 minutes, they're just kind of, they're just kind of jogging around. You don't see a lot of goals in the opening 5-10 minutes of a match. So live betting, always a better option if you want to try to get a better price. One of my favorite bets that I do during the Premier League season and during the international seasons, the over 2.5 parlayed with both teams to score. That is a bet, Lauren. I know you've teed me up for those a lot of times during Kick Picks this year. And when you look at the Columbus-New England match here, it kind of looks, when I just look at the goal scored, goal against between these two teams, it looks like New England's a team that plays a lot, very wide open, scored 32 goals, given up 34, and Columbus maybe a little more buttoned up with just 27 scored goals, but 22 allowed, which isn't that many, one of the fewest in the league this year. So contrasting styles with this match, why do you think we're going to see over 2.5 both teams to score?
Well, and let me say, MLS is where trends go to die. So you look at the goals scored over the last 2 months, and this one seems like a no-brainer. Both teams to score an over 2.5 goals, and this is most books offer this as, you don't have to parlay the 2 picks together. Yeah. Most books offer this as its own bet as well. So just notice that, and it is coming in at even money here. So like you said, the big caveat here is that Columbus, about a month ago, signed a player named Cucho Hernandez. He is a Colombian forward. He's played in the Premier League for Watford. They spent about $5 million on him. Well, Cucho has played 4 games. He subbed into the first 3, and then he started last weekend. He's played about 90 minutes. He scored 4 goals in those 90 minutes. He is an absolute killer, which, by the way, you want a little bonus pick. If you're betting players to score, Cucho on one book was plus 180. He scored 4 goals in 90 minutes of MLS play, and you're giving me plus 180 that he's going to score today? Look for a little sprinkle on that. But Columbus's offense has been completely retooled with Cucho in there. They've scored multiple goals in 3 out of their last 4 games. And here's the other side of it. New England has only been shut out once in their last 15 games. That was a trip to Vancouver, all the way across the country. Yeah. They're obviously not traveling that far, going to Columbus. They've scored multiple goals in 11 of their last 15 games. When you're betting this type of bet, you're just hoping the road team gets you 1 goal. That's all you need. Home team gets you 2. You're home and dry. So based on the trends, I really like this one with Cucho Hernandez starting for Columbus and New England really scoring goals right now.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Daniel Robinson, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Co-host of Bet MLS with D-Row and Oso. Make sure to check it out. Hope you have a great Saturday. Enjoy like your Super Bowl day of Major League
Thank you so
Soccer.
much.
12
Thank you so much.
matches today.
Yes.
I'm betting these, D-Row, so I appreciate the
All right.
love, man.
See you later.
I'm on top of these babies. Let's do it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Major League Soccer, let's kick it all the way to the football field now. We're transferring on over. Speaking
Football
of
to
transfers,
football.
let's talk about some transfers that have made an impact, well, that we think are going to make an impact this season. Obviously, yesterday we touched a lot on Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison. Caleb Williams going from Oklahoma to USC. That's going to be awesome, seeing what Lincoln Riley's able to do with him in their offense, and then Jordan Addison from Pitt to USC. So that USC team is going to be stacked this season. But a couple guys that we didn't talk about yesterday. Number one, Spencer Rattler, who was Caleb Williams' co-host at Oklahoma. He's going now from Oklahoma to South Carolina. He obviously lost his job to Caleb Williams mid-season last year. He's now reuniting with Oklahoma assistant Shane Beamer. He was the top Heisman favorite and number one overall pick that everyone was talking about going into last year. I just think a fresh start is exactly what this guy needs to bounce back from what was a disappointing season last year. And you look at the Beamer and his staff, they have a solid foundation after year one, and they're now adding on to it with some big names here in this transfer portal. Do you think he can make an impact for this South Carolina team?
Impact, no, but he'll be okay. I mean, the problem with South Carolina is the conference that they play in, and the teams in their conference with, really, really top high-end talent. So he really struggled at Oklahoma last year against, I would put, much subpar talent compared to what he's going to face in the SEC this year. So that is a concern, but his talent is second to none. If he can figure this out, and maybe you're right, maybe it is Shane Beamer, that can kind of be a quarterback whisperer to Rattler, because he had issues last year, just getting out of his own head most games. So, and then he got benched, and then, that was the end of it. So I think when you look at Rattler, it will be tough for him to put on one of those seasons. You're like, oh, wow, impact, he's the guy. But yeah, there's a potential there because of the coach for him to grow out of some of the immaturities that he suffered through last year.
Okay, then we look at a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously, he was at Georgia Tech. Probably, the only potential NFL starter in that locker room last year. He's going to Alabama now. He was the most talented and electrifying part of that Georgia Tech offense. I covered one of their games last season. It was so much fun to watch him in person. He hit the transfer portal after Georgia Tech wasn't able to do much, right? He's going to Bama now, joining a high caliber names of the past that have laced up at Alabama year after year. And now he's definitely a contender for the Heisman. It just shows how talented he is and how much he was held back by his former team.
Yeah, that is interesting. I didn't look at his Heisman odds this morning. I should have, but I'll pull them up right now. But I will say two things about this Alabama team. First of all, we already discussed it yesterday, just how talented they are on all phases, like just top to bottom. They are incredibly talented. But when you look at the transfers that, like, even without the transfers, they're talented. But then you look at the transfers that they brought in, and then you're like, oh my goodness, this kid, Jahmyr Gibbs, is a star. And how about the other kid that they brought in, not quarterback, Eli Ricks, the corner, defensive back, who transferred from LSU.
Crazy.
So you have two huge players in the respective backfields on offense and defense, Gibbs and Ricks, that are going to completely revitalize what is already a very talented roster. So, yeah, he's going to have a big impact. I think Ricks on the other side of the ball is going to have a big impact. And I think Alabama, you're going to know both of these guys. They're going to be both, I would say, not household names, but as close to household names as two college football running back, cornerbacks can be on a team like Alabama. So very noteworthy for Gibbs, very noteworthy for Eli Ricks. And Alabama is just, man, they're just, the rich get richer. They are so freaking loaded.
They're raking it in right now, baby. The last one I want to talk about before we get into our play of the day is Quinn Ewers. Ohio State Bye-bye. Get him out of the Big Ten, baby, because he's going to Texas. He's coming home to take the reins of the Longhorn program. 5-star prospect coming out of high school, heavily sought out by top programs all over the country. It's been a second, Jared, since Texas has really had a top-tier quarterback under center. Can this guy finally be the one to bring Texas back on the map?
I'm undecided on him. So I think of the quarterback transfers that are in college football this year, I have 4 on my list. Yours is the 4th of the 4. The number one guy on my list that I think is going to have a pretty big impact this year, and I'm not saying they're going to win the national title or he's going to win the Heisman, but if you want to talk about a bet you can make today, I would say it's JT Daniels, who went from USC and then obviously Georgia to West Virginia. And when you look at JT Daniels, I think this is a guy that is reunited with his old offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell, who was his coach at USC. And this is a guy that was in the national championship game last year. Now, I know Stetson Bennett was the guy in that game, and he was the guy for Georgia down the stretch. But Daniels got a lot of experience in the SEC with big-time games left and right. Now he goes to West Virginia, which obviously plays in the Big 12 and much lesser competition. And West Virginia's win total is just 5.5. Mm-hmm. They were bowl eligible last year with some guy named Jared Doege throwing 12 picks. Why can't they be bowl eligible this year? Jarrett with a T. He spells it the wrong way. That's why he was a loser. But JT Daniels, I think is a guy that can have an impact. Another guy I want to mention is Dillon Gabriel, who goes from UCF to now Oklahoma to take the reins of where Caleb Williams is now departed. And I love Dillon Gabriel because he is reunited with his old offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby. And if you really want to get technical, they're considering themselves the 2019 national champs based off what they tell people over there at UCF. So that's another name that's interesting is Dillon Gabriel. And I'll throw one more into the mix, but he's kind of in the same mold as Spencer Rattler. Jackson Dart, who goes from USC, now there's no job openings at USC now with Williams in town, and now he goes to Ole Miss. And Dart had a decent year last season filling in for Keaton Slovis. So these are 3 names, Daniels, Dart, Gabriel. I would put all 3 of them ahead of yours in terms of immediate impact right now, but obviously Texas's guy is going to have a say. And I think all 4 of those guys are going to be names that midway through the year as, all right, these 2, these are new quarterbacks in new places that are having decent seasons. But I've got 4 guys on my list that I think can have an impact day one with their new teams.
It's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do. Obviously, college football right around the corner. And also training camp for NFL is starting on Tuesday. Nice. So it's literally right around the corner. Before we get into our 3-star play of the days, PLL, Jared, give me a little bit about the Premier Lacrosse League. What can we look forward to this weekend?
Oh, we got some PLL action today. So here we go. Two games to talk about today. Redwoods, the Woods. I like calling them the Woods. Screw Redwoods. The Woods.
We're not doing that.
Why not? You don't like Woods? Woods Atlas, 5:00 Eastern, ESPN2. Our buddy Nick Zaroya is on the under in this game. Then later night, Whipsnakes Chaos, 7:30 Eastern on the Plus, ESPN Plus. Charlie White's got a couple of 2-star plays on the site, so check that out. Then we got 2 more games tomorrow, matinees, 2:00, 4:30 Eastern on the Deuce, ESPN2. So PLL action is hot and heavy. They pushed it back. Usually it's Friday, Saturday, but this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know why. But we've got picks on the site. Check it out, pickswise.com. You know what to do.
Pickswise.com also has a couple 3-star play of the days. We have an MLS bet. So make sure to go to pickswise.com. Check out our 3-star play of the days. Let's get into our best bet of the days. We both have a Nerfie for our best bet of the days. I think this might be the first time ever that we have 2 Nerfies for the best bet of the day. You want to go first or should I go first?
Ladies first. Go ahead. Enlighten me.
Ladies first. Love that. Ladies. Okay. I'm looking at the Cubs-Phillies game. No run first inning. It is juiced to the Nerfie, but I don't mind it because it's only 15 cents. Yesterday, Kyle Schwarber ruined the Nerfie with a leadoff home run in the bottom of the first. Get him out of here. Today, trying the Nerfy and backing Marcus Stroman. He kept the opponents off the scoreboard in 5 of his 6 starts so far on the road in the first inning. And no runs allowed for him in 9 of his last 11 overall starts in the first inning. He faced the Phillies 4 times last year when he was playing with the Mets. He kept them off the board in the first inning in all 4 of those starts. Then you look at the other side. You have a guy like Zach Wheeler, not pitching as well as his Cy Young caliber season last year, but he's still pretty good this season. Opponents were scoreless in 8 of his 9 starts at Citizen Bank Park in the first inning. 15 of his last 17 starts overall has been no runs first inning. No issues for me backing him for the Nerfy today. And the Cubs have been held scoreless in the first inning 62% of the time, 70% when they're on the road, so it goes up a little bit. And the Phillies are held scoreless in the first 65.2% of the time at Citizens Bank, 74.2% overall. So I like the Nerfy here. All of the numbers are pointing me to the Nerfy. Give it to me, baby. Only laying 15 cents for it. Okay, hit me with yours.
I got not screwed, but I took a gut punch with my Cubs Phillies Nerfy yesterday, thanks to Kyle Schwarber. You got to look out for that Schwarber guy. He might ruin everything.
Dude.
That Schwarber dude and Justin Steele laid a first pitch cookie right down the middle to him in the bottom of the first, and he hit one to like Manayunk. I don't know if it's landed yet. All right, I will give you my Nerfy today. It's a plus money Nerfy. And listen, you guys know I'm Mr. Contrarian. I know Mr. Jabbar likes to make fun of me for being Mr. Contrarian, but you know what? I am who I am. So we're betting the Nerfy on a team that scored 28 runs yesterday. What are we thinking? The Blue Jays scored 28 runs yesterday, and we are going to bet the Nerfy in the Toronto-Boston game today. Maybe they, didn't save any runs for today. But listen, this is what
they got them all out of their system yesterday.
So obviously the total had to be impacted today by yesterday. I'm sure the total probably went up a half a run based off of what happened yesterday. So that means that there's some value opening up to the under. Now, we're not going to bet the full game under because I don't know what the heck's going to happen with the bullpens. But when you look at the 2 starting pitchers in this game, Alek Manoah and Cutter Crawford. Now, Manoah's rate has been fantastic. 34-4 since 2019 to the Nerfy. That is unbelievable for Alek Manoah. Now, Cutter Crawford, he's only making his 5th start, so we don't have a ton of data on him, but he is 3-1 to the Nerfy this season, and he has a 43% K rate in the first inning, which means he is coming out throwing bullets, and he hasn't faced this Blue Jays lineup. Why? Well, he's only making his 5th career start. He's a young kid, rookie coming up. So I think this is one of those situations where Cutter Crawford gets a fresh look at a Blue Jays lineup and scored 28 runs yesterday, and he's going to be able to get through the top of the first unscathed. And then Alek Manoah, as I said, has been fantastic in this category since 2019. And when you look at the combined Nerfy rates of these 2 pitchers, I'm spitting out 75%. So I'm getting plus 110 on a bet where the implied Nerfy rate is 75%. I see a really big gap there. And Manoah does have pretty decent numbers against this Blue Jays lineup, 175 batting average against. JD Martinez and Xander Bogaerts are combined 1 for 17 against him. So I like the matchup here on the mound. And then when you look at the offenses, well, the Red Sox are not a great run-scoring team at home this year, just 25%, very well below average. The Jays are solid on the road at 35%. Listen, the Blue Jays could absolutely wreck this. They scored 28 runs yesterday, but I'm confident that Cutter Crawford is going to, with the fresh look, going to be able to get 3 outs without giving up a run. So we'll take a chance. If Toronto scores a boatload of runs again in the first, then I'll feel like a donkey. But I think Cutter Crawford's going to do a good job. And I love the price, plus 110 over at MGM for a Blue Jays Red Sox.
The Blue Jays got all the runs out of their system yesterday.
No.
You have 2 Nerfies for the plays of the day today, and that's it for us. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Laura Javara. We'll see you Monday. Let's get it. Let's bet it.